You're listening to Court Reserve Unscripted with me, Ashley Owens.
Hi, Ashley.
Hi, good morning. How are you?
I'm very well. How are you doing?
I'm great. Where are you sitting today?
I am in my co-working office in a little booth, which is like a passport booth,
That's
uh,
awesome.
here in the UK. So yeah, that's I'm in the south of England. So
That's amazing. It does look like kind of a podcast studio almost.
I know. I wish I could say it was. It's definitely not. It's a little hidden dungeon.
That's amazing. Well, I'm here in Florida, and you
Yeah,
probably seen the U.S. is in a huge freeze right now, including us Floridians. And
I
so, how's your weather in England today?
Well, I'm aware. I've got a lot of friends in the Northeast, which I know gets the brunt of the bad weather. And I thought you guys were okay in Florida, but maybe I'm wrong.
So
Uh,
North Florida, 32 is not really what Floridians appreciate. We're more in the 70, 75.
yeah. Well, we have stereotypical wet British weather right now. So yeah, it's pretty bleak. It's grey and getting dark early, and it's the worst time of year. But I'm actually moving to the States. I don't know if I mentioned this year.
Oh,
Yeah, moving to Charleston, South Carolina, in July. So all changed.
so what brings on the move?
It is, I guess the catalyst has been my work. I do a lot of
Yeah.
most of my clients actually are probably US based now. I've done a lot of work, yeah, in kind of North America as a whole. And yeah, so that's kind of been the catalyst. And my wife is a dual citizen American Brit. So we were able to do it a bit easier than otherwise. So yeah, we took the decision to move over. We come over in July.
Wow. So Charleston, I mean, it's a great southern town. Fried shrimp, fried oysters, anything fried, right? I mean, you're gonna love it. If you don't know what a hush puppy is, you'll find out soon enough.
I know, I
Uh,
don't know what a hush puppy is. I mean, I've heard about the fried food, but not hush puppies.
All right. So a hush puppy bin is they take cornmeal and they put it, imagine a little ball and then they fry it. And then you can dip it in like a sauce and it's going to change your life. I mean, you're going to love it. So,
Okay, all right. I'm gonna have to look that up. We're coming over to Charleston next month for a quick visit and to look at houses and stuff. So I'll have to look it up and find it.
yeah, please call me and let me know your first hush puppy experience. I'll come up and we'll share one.
Yeah, definitely. No, we're super excited. Yeah, it's a lot of people be like, "Oh, why Charleston?" And they've said like only good things about it. But obviously it's a smaller town than a lot, so I think we just yeah, we just got a good feel for it, and
That's amazing.
yeah.
Yeah. So tell
And
me about your world. Tell me about like what you're up to these days. Of course, is it paddle or padel? That's the thing everybody wants to talk about. I'm Southern, I'm calling it paddle.
yeah.
But what are you up to these days?
So I set up my background's in sports PR and communications for about 20 years, and I worked in yeah, big kind of tennis guy growing up. Squash and tennis were my sports, and worked in many different sports. Formula One. I worked for the World Anti-Doping Agency in Canada for 4 years, which was fascinating. Worked in, yeah, tennis in many different sports, and then the segue to paddle. You're absolutely right, paddle is I played it before, and then I was doing a contract 3.5 years ago for the LTA, the Tennis
Yeah.
Federation here in the UK. And they, unlike the US, where there's a paddle federation, they govern paddle as well. So I was doing a bit of PR for the British paddle team, and at the same time, I was meeting a lot of investors, a lot of club owners, a lot of kind of entrepreneurs getting involved in paddle. I would say it was kind of mirroring what was going on in pickleball in the US, actually.
Okay.
And I just sort of thought, I really want to work in this sport. It's going to be the next big thing. I think all the stats, all the anecdotes, everything just paints an amazing picture of this sport. And I thought the obvious place to do so was setting up my own PR and marketing company and focusing on the storytelling, which is what I've always done. So set up Paddle 22, and that's what I'm doing. So we work with clubs primarily, I would say. We work with the professional side of the game. So Premier Padel, which is the Tour, Hexagon Cup, which is a big kind of celeb investor owner team competition. Work with Playtomic, the tech firm, which you'll be aware of. and worked with Racquet the conference down in Miami or Fort Lauderdale this year. So yeah, many different kind of sectors within the sport. And actually, yeah, we started doing a bit of work in pickleball as well because there's so much crossover in terms of kind of what clubs are doing. So yeah, we're focused on the promotional side, which is PR, social media, strategy, media, marketing, you name it.
Wow. So, what do you think people get wrong about the sport paddle?
In terms of the players, in terms of the business side. Yeah.
Yes, all of it.
Well, depends where you are. So look, I think let's take it from a US perspective. It's got a different journey there to a lot of countries where, so paddle's been, I'm sure you well aware of this, paddle's been very much kind of all the rage internationally. I'd say the UK is a great example, which is probably, I'd say, 3 years ahead of the US with paddle. Um, the Netherlands and Europe, South Africa, the Middle East, UAE, Qatar, these countries, they've all kind of taken on paddle. And in the US, obviously, pickleball has been the big kind of topic, and many tennis clubs implementing it for obvious reasons. But the interesting thing now is we're starting to see paddle, come in as this kind of third racket sport in a way. So what do people get wrong with it? I think it's from like an operator business point of view. I think what I like to see is actually tennis clubs bring in pickleball and paddle because I'm a big believer in this kind of rising tide.
Mhm.
More lifts or boats, more people with a racket in hand, I think will help all the racket sports. Um, but there's also on the flip side a lot of people thinking, okay, well, it's another racket sport. It's just going to, make my business go well if I bring in paddle. Well, shock horror, there's a big cost to building a paddle court, much more than a pickleball. Different demographic, I'd say, it's a wider demographic in a way. I'd say of paddle, and in the US, I'd say it's a kind of very high-end premium sport right now. I think that will change, but right now it's probably seen as quite elitist. And I'd say that's different to pickle, and I'd say that's different to other sports. So I think people sort of seeing it as much as I want to kind of see all racket sports do well at the same time. I think from a business point of view, you do need to look at them individually and think, okay, well, who am I targeting, bringing in paddle, and who am I bringing pickleball for, etc. So. Um, I think kind of, these things are nuanced on the business side. From the playing side, I would say, look, what is good is, if you can pick up a racket and play paddle, you can, I think, then, evolve to tennis, I'd say, which is a more technical, more complex sport. And similarly with pickle, I'd say, I wouldn't just see people moving from tennis into pickle and paddle, which is the kind of the narrative right now. I think you're going to get people moving all ways. So that's a positive. And that's kind of the landscape I'm seeing.
I agree with you completely. I'm actually, if you didn't know, I'm undefeated in paddle. I've played once and I won. So just let the world know it's out there.
All right.
But so, Tim and I, we own a pickleball club here in St. Augustine, Florida, North Florida.
Yeah. Hmm.
And it's very interesting, our journey with Court Reserve, but not only as like true players, like we were tennis players and then we got into pickleball and then we now have a club. And Tim, my husband, has never actually played paddle, but his background in tennis and now pickleball, he's a high level player. He's going to easily be able to get into paddle and love it, right? But
Definitely.
our trouble here in North Florida is, it's what you just talked about. It's the cost of building courts and making sure you have instructors that can truly instruct paddle and get the players to embrace that sport. So, if I had my dream, I've never said this before, but I would open up a club that had all three sports because I
100%.
do think we go back and forth, right? We'll go play tennis a couple days, then we'll go hit a pickleball, and I think paddle just kind of fits into the narrative of all those racket and paddle sports.
100%, absolutely on the same sheet there because yeah, look, I grew up playing squash and tennis, so I am a racket sports guy, not a pure, tennis only. And I remember when I grew up and people just saying, look, I think it was the exception. I had a coach who was an ex-junior Wimbledon tennis player, a squash coach, this is, and he then went in to play squash for England. So he was the proof that you could mix tennis and squash. A lot of people say don't mix them; it's going to mess up your volleying and mess up your shots and confuse you. And I thought, well, actually, his whole kind of philosophy was no, it's not. It's actually squash is good. You're volleying a lot; it's good for your tennis volleys. So he took a more nuanced view. And I take a kind of nuanced view of like racket sports. I think, yeah, just because you're a good tennis player doesn't make you a good paddle player. I think a lot of people think, oh, when are the retired tennis players going to take up paddle and hit the top of the rankings like that? That's kind of like a little bit assuming. But what you can do is easily pick up a racket, easily connect with the ball, easily move around. Like you, all the fundamentals are there. The thing with paddle, people say it's a little bit like chess. I think it's the tactics and the nuance and the subtleties and the kind of cat and mouse nature. That's all stuff you're going to have to learn. Doesn't matter if you're Roger Federer or someone that's picking up any racket for a first time. So there's definitely differences between them. I think, look, what does I subscribe. If one of the things I haven't done since I immersed myself in paddle is think about building a club. I've had too much on my plate, but if I did, 100%, I would want to put these three racket sports, maybe the fourth, maybe put squash alongside, because I think as humans we do get bored with things. Why is paddle popular to so many people? I'd say who've played tennis their whole life, it's because they want something new in their middle age and a new fresh challenge at a time when a lot of life might become stale. So, we do get bored of things. We want fresh challenges and excitements. And that includes trying new sports. And if it's a healthy thing, it's good for you, it's good for social interaction and all the things we missed during the global pandemic.
Mhm.
That's why paddle and I think pickleball is like very much a sport of its time. So yeah, I'm all for kind of building each alongside each other. I think that will help all of the sports, not just, that won't be a threat to one or the other. And I think they require different skills, right? Like paddle, naturally, if you've played squash, it's going to help you familiar with the walls. I see tennis players who are just not comfortable with the walls, but they're very good at the net. And then I see squash players who love the walls, but they don't like the net. So put them together and you might have a good paddle player. But yeah, again, Olympic pickleball has, different skills. There are paddle players out there who are a little bit snobbish, like, oh, we don't need to play pickle, but I am a big pickleball fan myself, I'll be honest. And I love it. I love each of them for their own reasons.
Oh yeah, I think so too. And my husband will be the first one to tell you when we were playing tennis before the wave of pickle, he was the I'm never playing that sport. It's for old people, right? And now
Yeah,
he's,
yeah,
a lover of the sport. And so I think that as people get into it and they actually play it, any sport, I mean, that's where the love of the game comes from. And it's for the different reasons for the different sports too, like you said.
yeah. Never say never. Anytime someone says, "Oh, that's not for me," I'm like, no, just always leave the door ajar because, get on court and try it. Because one thing I'd say at pickle, look, I'll be honest, I don't think it televises that well, but I think playing it is amazing. So, and that's the difference, right? People see it on TV and they'll be like, "Oh, I'm not sure it's got, it looks a bit slower than tennis or whatever," and I'm like, go and play it, and you have a totally different experience than, some sports might be more for television, more for playing, maybe a combination. So I say to everyone, like, don't dismiss something till you've gone and tried it yourself,
Yeah.
and then take a judgment on it, right?
So you're in England. And so I'm assuming you've been to Wimbledon.
I have. Yeah, I used to work there many years ago.
Really? What did you do there?
So way at the beginning of my career, I worked in the press office there. So I was working with the journalists. Funnily enough, I remember it well. I had literally my last exam of school, aged 18, went straight from there, and Wimbledon had just started, and I went straight from there to my like first, I'll call it like almost proper job as a student, working as like a runner in the press office. So I always wanted to work in sports events and the media side of things. I loved it. But yeah, it was kind of, the unglamorous side of photocopying, making tea, getting to know journalists, being an information guy, which you've got to do at the start of your career. And it was amazing to sort of, be around the top broadcasters and people reporting on the sport. So I did that for during my university years. So I was probably doing that for 5 years. Great intro into getting into a career in sport. And then I've been many times since as a spectator, and it's an amazing special place.
So, favorite match ever that you've seen at Wimbledon? Do you have one?
Wow, favorite match ever. Um, God, that's a really good one. Do you know what my idol growing up was Goran Ivanisevic,
Okay.
um, who obviously a lot of people know was won as a wild card. A lot of people forget he was in three finals before. He was always this kind of never quite did it, and then won when no one expected. Funnily enough, that match when he beat Pat Rafter in 2001, ironically, it's kind of should have been the pinnacle of me, as a tennis fan. And I was on a school trip to France and I couldn't watch it live. So yeah, I get the other end and I hear the result. So I kind of missed the moment that should have been. But look, I've seen, yeah, some great matches. I can't pinpoint one, but I do remember many. nerve-wracking as a Brit, nerve-wracking matches with Andy Murray,
Yes.
going to 5 sets. Again, trying to pinpoint one particular, but I'm sure there were year after year of tense ones. And prior to that, even more tense maybe, it was Tim Henman getting so close and not quite getting over the final hurdle. So I remember those semi-finals when he, almost made it and didn't quite. And those yeah, I think as a Brit that when we hadn't seen any success at Wimbledon for a long time, it was there's that added kind of national pride and hope that came with it. So yeah, many years of that experience.
Are you following the Australian Open right now? Any fan favorites out there?
Well, a little bit. I mean, I'd love to be kind of watching live. The time difference is a bit
Oh
of a
yeah.
but my sister actually and brother-in-law both work for Tennis Australia, and they're out there, so I kind of familiar with what's going on. But it's an incredible Grand Slam. It comes at a great time of year for so many people, and it's yeah, I haven't been there myself. I know it's a really special atmosphere on site, and they tend to have some pretty tight battles as well. So.
Oh yeah. I really think that we should create another slam from like October to December because after the US Open, we as tennis fans, we have nothing really to watch after.
That's right. I
So we
know.
need to create maybe Paddle can create an amazing slam that comes and fills our need for a
You're
tournament.
right. I feel like it's that time. I feel for a lot of people, maybe as the winter draws in, it's sort of November, that before we get into the Christmas period, there's that November time when it's a bit of a lull and we're sort of getting tired, almost ready for like, a rest. But you need some kind of, yeah, you're right, a big Grand Slam or something to fill that void. Yeah, I don't want to say that to the professional players though, because they're obviously it's a big topic, is like it's already too congested question. So good luck us
Yeah,
getting that.
that's right. All right. So other than moving to the US, Charleston, no doubt, in this
Yeah.
year, what is the Nichols family looking forward to this year?
Big move for my family. So yeah, we are moving out and all of the things that come with a huge move at this stage of my life. I suppose a lot of it has revolved around my work at this time in my life. Setting up my own business 3.5 years ago that's now, really going well in the States. So it's going to be a lot of logistics of setting up home and getting to know Charleston and being familiar with kind of the area and the school system and the everything that goes with emigrating to a different country. And then the work side is yeah, building up my business in a country that's, significantly bigger than the UK. And getting to know the work culture and all the things, I think we all like to think, oh, everywhere's the same wherever you go, but actually it's really, you've got everywhere's got different cultures, different expectations, different ways of working. So I think familiarizing myself with that. And yeah, to be honest, getting to immerse myself in a sporting environment that's uniquely American, getting to know who the main kind of NCAA university structure teams are, who the major league teams are close by, I guess in Charlotte and places. So wanting to really embrace it personally and throw ourselves into American life, and also making sure work goes well.
So
Um, yeah.
football is football, right? So are you a football fan or a football fan? So that's the kind of thing we have here at Court Reserve. We actually have a Slack channel called Football, but it's not American football. It's the
Ah,
other football.
our football. Okay.
Yeah.
Yeah, I'm a big fan of our football. My team is Nottingham Forest, which is a historically famous team. They're in the Premier League, but they're not at the top end, put it that way. But yeah, look, I know the Premier League's big in the US now, but I need to make sure I kind of, probably need to pick my own NFL team. And actually, I quite like baseball. I'm not sure
Oh
how
yeah.
common it is these days, but MLB, I've been to some games. Um, yeah, so I need to be making sure I'm picking the right sides and yeah, hopefully getting to I'd like to play a lot of racket sports when I'm there because it's part of the country where I think embraces tennis certainly and probably pickle too as well now.
Yeah, for
So
sure in Charleston. You got plenty of options.
good, good. I'm looking forward to it. So yeah, I think yeah, playing lots of sport. I think making sure my kids are immersed in kind of American sport and we're getting absorbed with it all and understanding how Friday Night Lights works and all this kind of stuff. And yeah, it's going to be fun.
Well, you're only Charleston to Charlotte is about 3 hours. So you
Yeah.
got the Charlotte the Panthers up there, the NFL team. My husband has been a fan since I don't know, I think they've been around like 25 years, and we always come this close to getting this close to getting this close, and so he's always disappointed year after year. But then you got, the opposite way. You got the Atlanta Braves. We're
Yeah.
huge Braves fans, and their stadium is incredible. And so I would highly recommend you guys taking a family trip to Atlanta.
Well, I kind of feel I should support the Braves. I've got two sisters who were both at college in the US. Actually, they came on tennis scholarships, and way back in the 90s. But funnily enough, they used to bring back. I was a much younger brother, and they used to bring back baseball caps from the States, which was well received by me. And I vividly remember like one of them they brought back was the Atlanta Braves one. And so I had this Braves cap for years as a kid. And I think, it must have been a time in the 90s when the Braves were kind of one of the top teams. And so I kind of by default looked out for the Braves more than I did other MLB teams. So maybe that's a good enough reason to just default into a Braves fan now.
Oh, we'll take you. We'll take you. We're always looking for new Braves fans for sure.
Good,
So
good. All right, there's a deal. There's a
that's
deal.
awesome. Well, Ben, thanks for coming on Unscripted today. I really appreciate catching up with you, and welcome to the US.
Thank you. Absolute pleasure. I'm looking forward to connecting again soon.
Thanks for listening to this podcast. If you'd like to learn more about how Court Reserve became the go-to club management software for racquet and paddle sport clubs, come say hello over on our website. There's a link in the show notes.